raise one more ball on his break, right?
It's 11-7, 11-8.
That's right.
Yeah.
See, I think when Ron was here, the way we played it was if somebody was an A,
Yeah.
they played, say you were 9A, you would play as a 10 on your break.
So interpret that for me on there.
Like basically what you do is, like one game Bobby would be playing, you see it, right? 11-7
Yeah.
and 10-7. You know, and it would be one game on his break, it would be a 10, like 10-3. If it was a 10-2A, you know what I mean?
Well, actually,
That's how Ron, I think that's how Ron just plays it. Trace plays it differently. One more ball.
so Trace is playing it the way that I did? Or no? He is?
That's correct, yeah. I mean, that's how, but I think initially when Ron was here, I think he played it.
I'm with you.
I think
Well,
we just,
I think we should keep it consistent.
yeah, we'd both turn the table.
It's a race to 3, Bobby. Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? You got a little screen for that? I think Scott
Okay, here we go. Race to 3. Scott gets the first break because he won the hot seat. He's playing Bobby Emmons, the so in this game it's going to be 11-7. So it'll be 11-7 on Scott's break, and it will be 11-8 on Bobby's break. Don't ask me to explain the handicap system because it's a convoluted system that works well and that we've honed down, but it's hard to explain to someone who's not familiar with the handicapping. Anyway, Scott's laid down a great break here. A great break. Bobby may have to play off this one ball and try and billiard away the 2, or make it, which he has done very well, and he's prevented Scott from responding with a bank unless he decides to play a power. Well, I think he's just playing off the 9 and trying to come behind. Yeah, so Bobby's been playing very well. He's been freewheeling, but he's now up against a different class of player, so it'll be interesting to see how whether he can maintain that level of confidence against someone who's going to put him to test here. Bobby might jack up and attempt to stiff 3-rail this shot and just hold the cue in the back of the stack, which he does very well. He didn't hit it with hold up, and that's why the ball sprung around, but nonetheless it's equally as effective. Scott might just take a foul here unless he can glance off this ball and come behind the pack. I think he's trying to clip a ball and come around 3 rails behind the 9-6. So Bobby has been getting offensive with, playing offensive with some combo banks here. And I think that's what he's doing here. So Scott's got a chance to run some balls. Is he just going to glide up underneath the 4 and leave himself a bit of an angle? Yeah, that's very uncharacteristic of Scott. He was leaning over there, and you might see him do that about once a year. I'm talking personally because I happen to be a recipient of his firepower, so I know. So Bobby dodges a bullet. Scott has to spot his first 2 balls that he makes and then race to 9. But otherwise, the handicap is 11-7. Bobby is an explosive player, meaning that he's going to shoot at his hole, knowing that if he makes a ball, he's more than capable of running out 7 balls. So Scott has to factor that in terms of how he plays him. Bobby does not play what I would call a conventional game. It's not good, bad, or otherwise. He plays a very attacking game, and is quite often rewarded for it. So Scott's just going to have to give him this ball. Just pull the cue ball up. So these balls that they're giving each other are almost insignificant because Scott being given a ball when he's racing to 11 is not a factor. Scott would have liked to bring that further, but he achieved the end goal. He's got it on the rail, and this may seem like a simple thing, but getting that ball on the end rail where your opponent can't do anything but hit the top of the ball is one of the most underrated things in one pocket. But it's perhaps one of the most important. And there's an example of Bobby's explosive power. He's moved 2 balls to his side, one above the pocket, one below, and frozen to the ball. So unless Scott can masse around this, which I would think he would have a trouble from here, but he may have to leave Bobby either doubled up where he can't see a ball to his hole, or leave him on the end rail by Bobby's kitchen pocket where he's straight in on the 6 ball. Either way, Scott will find a way to minimize the damage. So I believe he's banking this ball and he's trying to hide the cue ball like so, and that's why he has the rating he does. I'm not sure Bobby's cueing this like it goes, and he swung at it. Did bring the cue ball back but didn't quite get it wanted, so there's an example of Scott not panicking when he was in an absolute jam, put a ball over his hole and then hid the ball. So it's just recognizing how to dig yourself out of a trap. There's a rare miss. Now you'll see here Scott was giving so much attention to the cue ball that again, very uncharacteristic that he missed that ball. But sometimes it's difficult to focus on both the object ball and the cue ball. Bobby's hit a great shot here. He's given this shot and not left the bank. And Scott's playing one of his signature Tiki Karams. Don't think Bobby, well, I guess he can see it. He's trying to stiff the ball, and he does. Has to hit that with speed and English. And as I mentioned before, this cloth is just a week or 2 old, and even though the pockets are only 4 1/8, the balls are sliding in, and in a couple of weeks, at least a third of the balls that are going in here will not. So Bobby needs to win the first game and break serve. And he is playing with confidence, there's no denying. It's interesting psychologically when most players that I watch are getting at least 2 or 3 balls from a better player, that the lesser player's game goes down by a ball or two. There's no apparent reason for it apart from just pressure. Bobby has played this just absolutely perfect. Good out, very nice indeed. So that there's very, very few players when they're playing world champions can play their own game, even if their own game is several balls below that level. And at the point when you are able to play your own game without feeling that pressure, then you've achieved a huge milestone in the game. So I'm trying to determine. Bobby here has been on the road for about 7 months and has been playing all sorts of world-class players, and just trying to get a feel for whether he is about to step over that threshold. He's laid down a pretty good break. Looks like Scott has got a window here to punch one of these balls through. Is it the 8? It is. He tries to do some damage. Now he's left Bobby a combo. It's not the easiest shot, but the angle is laying good where he's got to clip the first ball. And he plays that perfect. He's going to be pushed to get on another ball here. Scott got a spot 3, 11-8. 11-8. Terry, this is the final is a race to 3, and the winner of the hot seat, which was Scott on the winner's side, gets to break first. And is Bobby about to take a 2-0 lead here? This is going to go. I think Bobby needs, what do we got here? 3-4, does Bobby need one more ball? Oh no, he's racing to 8. This game is 11-8. It's 11-8 on Bobby's break and 11-7 on Scott's break. So Scott realizes he's got to slow Bobby down here. Bobby's on autopilot here. He might attempt to cross bank this, and he might, knowing Bobby, he might even shoot a. That's not a bad shot. He's protecting his lead here. He knows that Scott can't win the game from the back of the pack here. And Scott was trying to hide that ball behind the blue 2. This is bankable, but he's going to have to a large amount of spin. Oh, hits it nice. Played a little left front shot there with a draw inside. Not many people play that shot. So Scott senses that if Bobby wins this game, is going to be a tough hill for Scott to win 3 games in a row, but Bobby's just playing it easy here. He's slowing Scott down. Scott has been in this position 1,000 times and has the experience to get out of it. So you could argue that even though Scott needs 11 and Bobby needs 2, Scott isn't necessarily the underdog here. So Bobby's goal here is just to leave this as close to the end rail as possible. And he's hit it pretty good. The only shot he's left is the straight in 14, which is of no use to Scott. So he will happily be more patient. And that's just knowing your opponent. Bobby realizes that Scott's not interested in one ball. And he's left him the same thing again. Notice the cue ball frozen on the end rail. Scott can't shoot this 14. If he misses, he loses the game. So Scott, he's in a bit of a pickle here. He could play this. He could play this 12 or 13 ball with speed and come across with some left-hand English. He's got to put a nice stroke on it so that he doesn't let Bobby cut in the one ball. But if he makes it, he's going to be rewarded. Tough shot when you're frozen on the rail here. And he hit it pretty good. Bobby's going to have to give him this ball and leave the cue ball either where the one ball cannot be banked, or Bobby's going to suck the cue ball up behind the 14 where he can't even see the 9 ball, sorry, the 1 ball. Either way, it's delicate. I don't know what he's thinking there. He's not going to shoot that. He just got to give him this ball and leave the ball straight in so that he cannot bank the 1. Well, he went even one better than that. Scott might just be, and that might just slide in now. It's going to be difficult for him to shoot this shot. He's going to have to draw it. Yeah. He's changed his mind. This is not what he played at all. And he hit it really bad and got incredibly fortunate. You could argue that Bobby got fortunate that Scott doesn't have another shot, but Scott's goal right now is to run the cue ball up the table here where Bobby cannot see this 4 ball. 3. And Bobby's going to 8. So this is a very, very simple shot, but effective. Scott knows that when he spots these 2 balls that Bobby can't make this ball, and he knows that Bobby can't kick at this 4 ball. So quite often the simplest shots are the most effective. He knows he's leaving Bobby this bank, and he had no choice, but this is diggable, but it's going to be a hard time. Well, I guess Scott can see this ball. So Scott wants to go rail first, come out 3 cushions. And you'll notice here how he played that far enough to come out for the 2, where if he didn't come that far, he's still got the 14. So he's likely to do some damage here. Scott needs to get an angle to bump into the 13-1. And I think Bobby needs 3 balls. Scott's just going to come round, spin around for the 10. Now he might just be leaving himself the angle here where he can not quite. He wanted to leave that to bump into the head of the 1 ball and bump those out, which he can't. So he just got to punch this across for the 5 ball, which he's overdone. He might cut this in, and hopefully he's not going to scratch behind the back of the 6. Well, and he's lucked in another ball. Bobby's got to be feeling a little snake bit here. Scott's going to try and spin this around, leaving a bank on the 9 ball. Well, he can 2-rail this, but it's going to be hard to make it because there's a scratch in the middle. So this is just going to be a vicinity shot with the cue ball on the end rail. And he's hit it with such good speed that Bobby's going to have a hard time digging this ball without. He's going to double kiss. The question is where there's no way he can control these two balls. Well, he did a fantastic job. Fantastic, especially if he's got the, well, Scott may be forced to, he's just going to play safe here. So it looks like the ball count is 5-5. Scott has spotted his 3 balls, so now it's a race to 8. And the game is 5-5. And now we get into a... Bobby got a little unfortunate that he's doubled those balls up. Because of that, he's given Scott a free shot at this 5 ball. And I don't think it's bumping into the 13. Scott will bank this 9. He may even knock the other ball over to his side. And he played that with nice pocket speed. Scott just needs this ball for the win. And that's it. Scott comes back to win that game. So certainly Scott got very lucky there to lock in 2 balls, but that's one pocket for you. They're taking a 2-minute smoke break. They'll be back in a few here. Perfect. Let me taste it.
Alright, but there's no more. So there's a Bass Ale. It's kind of close. It's in a bottle, but
I need something on top. Let me have a shot. Hey!
How you doing?
Nowadays, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, life is good.
Yeah, thank you. Called me, said you guys battled for a while.
Yeah, it's great having him back in town. He's just I've enjoyed playing him more than anybody. He's just a
Oh,
class act.
oh yeah.
He's a warrior.
He's a goofy son of a bitch, too.
Well, he just plays. Cheers. He plays so hard, but he never gets mad at his opponent.
Yeah.
And that's a sign of a class act.
Yeah.
Class act. So, excuse me one sec. Somebody just. How's wifey and kids? All good?
Fantastic. Very
Yeah.
good.
Terrific. Are you still at Insights?
No, I just quit there 3 months ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, I went over to Abyssal, which is
Name of the company?
Abyssal.
Abyssal.
Smaller. Hey Tony. How you doing, buddy? Good to see
Yep.
you. Happy holidays. Very good. 8
How you doing?
8 years over there. I went through sets and pay contracts. I did really well for myself.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm making $24,000 less the last couple of years because of the pay plan.
Not
So-
fun.
So they had an assistant for me at Insight. I was doing pretty well, and I took him and both at Abyssal, which getting a lot more percentage of commission.
Good for you.
At Insight, it started at 12, then 10, then 8, and it was down to 6%. Now you're still that's not too bad. So this
Yeah.
company I'm doing 50. So
Can't beat that. Can't beat that. I'm going to catch up on this. Oh, wow. Unbelievable. We're getting into it. That's a great photo.
it seems
Yeah, man. I'll chat with you, but I'm committed to this thing. So, we're back live. This is the final of Colby's monthly one pocket. If anybody out there is still sober in the festive season to care. This is a race to 3. It's a handicap tournament. Scott Frost is playing Bobby Emmons. They've played 2 games, split 1 apiece. Scott has given up 11-7 in this game, a sizable handicap, and I believe he just fouled, so that would make it 12-7. So a seemingly large handicap, but this is what Scott does for a living, so. So Bobby can't do anything aggressive here. He just got to glance off it. He'd like to put this flush on the end rail. Scott's just going to come back and give him more of the same into the back of the stack. I like that shot because he's taking a ball away from Bobby's side, and Bobby can't skim off this pack here and come behind. So all he can do is play what the Brits in the snooker game call a containment safety. It means it doesn't do anything offensive, but it brings you back to the table for the next shot. You might not like it, but you get another shot. It's a nice touch. Scott's just going to thin this ball and try and snug up behind the. He decided he doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to leave it in the back of those 2 because he knows that Bobby might shoot at that 12 bank. And Bobby just got a little careless there, and that's the sort of thing that you don't want to do against Scott. I've played Scott many times from here where he's needed 12 and he gets out with such alarming ease that you just left shaking your head. But his pattern selection is pretty good. He's just going to roll this in for a low pressure shot. And now he can come around after he makes the 7. Now watch what he's doing here. He's got 2 balls and he's going to come up at least far enough. Well, he doesn't think he can get around these, so he's decided to open these up. He got a little unfortunate. The reason that he didn't come around is because he had to use right-hand English, and he would have clipped the ball. He could bank this, but I don't think he's going to. Well, he did it because he was confident he was going to clip the back of the 12. And you could argue he got a little fortunate. He did clip it the way that he intended to, but he got a little rub. So Bobby is just forced to give him this ball if he can in fact see it. To do anything but give him this ball would just be inexperience. But when you have eyes that young, that's pretty shocking. But to the brave go the spoils. When your eyes see that good, you got to trust them. It would be one thing if these were 4 3/4 pockets, but they're actually 4 1/8. So it does put things into perspective there. It's a little lazy. He's left a bank here, I believe, on the 2 ball. One went in your pocket. So Bobby is, I can't quite tell whether Scott still has is paid up or not with his handicap. Bobby has 2 and needs 5. Scott would have needed 11, and so if his coins are paid up, that means he's going to 8. So 8-7 from here. Again, another lazy shot. He's trying to clip the 10 and go behind the 8. And this is an example of what I'm talking about when you're playing a player of Scott's caliber, and that it's hard to stay focused and play the game that you normally play when you're playing a peer. And again, that's you might see that about once a year from Scott. So I don't know whether fatigue is a factor here, or it's the end of the day, or just plain old lack of focus. So both players making uncharacteristic errors here, but it's the one who makes the least. So Bobby would have liked to have left that ball on the end rail, but this snuck out here, and the fact that Scott can get his cue on this, if he punches this ball in, Scott seems a little jarred here. He's feeling the pressure because he knows that Bobby's totally capable of running the balls here. I can't tell what goes from here. I can't tell whether the 10 ball is the only ball that goes in the back of that stack. Buddy, I don't know. He's thinking about it. It's hard to tell. He's the only ball that goes in his pocket there is a 5 ball. So this would imply that the 10 does go. Problem is he's going to have to punch this ball and try and disturb the others, which he does very nicely. Bobby has 5 balls. He needs 2 more. I can't quite tell whether I believe the 5 ball goes, so he might just come and hit this with inside English with a lot of speed, which he plays nicely. and he's gotten about as good as he could get. I think he's just going to slow roll this ball in. If he misses it, he will hang it. And it's in the heart. Game number 3. Game number 3 goes to Bobby, 2-1 in a race to 3. Bobby's breaking, so so the 4th game, Bobby's breaking. The handicap here will be 11-8. Scott has to spot the first 3 balls that he makes. H. Nutt, good to have you here. I believe Bobby is playing with a Pat Divinicue. Or at least he was within the last week. If it's got butterflies on it, then there's a good chance it's Pat's cue. So Scott can't afford to be lax here. He's got to bear down. He's made 3 or 4 unusual errors that you just rarely see. But this is a race to 3 with for Bobby a pretty good handicap. So he just wants to thin this ball and just try and stick the cue ball in the back of the stack. Spin this up with a lot of juice. And nice touch. The problem is whether he tied up. He might have hit it thicker than he wanted to, and he might have tied up the 2-4, in which case he might have given Scott a bank. But Scott is not interested in just making 1 ball. So Bobby can just leave him in the back of the stack, open up a few more balls. Scott's got to spin this. So Bobby realizes these 2 balls are tied up, and it's a huge disadvantage to him. So if he can open these up, he knows that Scott's not going to shoot this 1 ball on his side. So Bobby's in complete control here. Scott has to trust the table. Rolling a ball like that. Well, I don't think Bobby needed to quite do that. I can see why he did it. He was just trying to go 2 rails and leave it on the end rail, but let's see whether Scott can shake off these few errors here. He's got some work to do. This is shocking. I've played Scott for 10 years, and I have never witnessed this. This should be all she wrote. Bobby just got to come around 2 rails, open this up, miss the 8 ball. If he gets a nice angle on this, he's just going to get his extension here. Unless he's one of those tall guys, he should stop here, get his extension, and that's why. It's just, again, that's just inexperience. He's got an extension that screws into his cue. The game was over, the match was over. So this, you could have a big momentum change here. That's the sort of shot that can just turn a match completely around. Bobby's pretty experienced. He should be able to. He should be able to shake off that shot, but these things stick in your mind. It's not often you're going to get. No, how about that? Yeah. I think Bobby has 4 balls. He is going to 7. I don't think he can bank combo this. So he may just have to. He may have to play a safety shot here, which he does. I'm not a fan of this shot. There's Scott will likely shoot this shot and run into the 11 ball. He needs to get a little love, which he did. He touches the 6, it's all over. And sometimes that's what you need to win tournaments. Both players are making multiple errors here. Bobby just happens to be making the least few errors here. This Scott would make in his sleep, but he missed this by half a diamond. This is quite shocking. And again, he may have gotten an unbelievable roll. This may go rail first. No, can't even see that. So, yeah, I'm guessing body language that Bobby can make this rail first. He's got to gauge it. These are not as simple as they look, because he may come round and... Oh, he could see the whole ball. No problem. And I can't imagine Bobby's not going to win from here. Has he over-chopped it? No, I think he needs this ball for the win. And I believe that's all she wrote. Bobby wins 3-1.
I'll take the ball and play some.
Second ain't bad.
Better than third. Second's better than third. appreciate you all tuning in. I don't know if there's going to be any action after. I don't think so. But yeah, it's been fun. Had a good day at One Pocket. I'm tired. I'm gonna have a few beers. If you want to have a couple beers, I'm okay with that. I owe you a lot of beers. So if you want to have a few beers, I'm game. So yeah, we're gonna be shutting down the stream. We could actually, I'm gonna just let it run. If somebody jumps on the table and gets some action, that's cool. But appreciate y'all tuning in. Please check out our sponsors, QB Custom Cues and Volturi Q Cases. If you want to support On The Rail TV, you can pick up a DVD, visit our online store at ontherailtv.com. Also, join Pool and Billiard Classifieds, buy, sell, trade. Good little group. A lot of good stuff on there. You can subscribe to our channel on YouTube. The URL's right there. And we're also on Facebook. So our next stream from On The Rail will be guys, we got action. 1 race to 3. Bottle. 1 race to 3 is going to be Scott Frost giving Bernie Pettipies 10-6.